Welcome to Cincinnati's West Prince Hill, where November 17, 2018 turned from an ordinary day into a real estate rendezvous with a twist. Realtor Jerry Isom and hopeful buyer Anthony Edwards found themselves in a peculiar plot, courtesy of the law. When Officer Rosa Valentino and her skeptical squad responded to retired cop Thomas Brannigan's overly eager 911 call, little did they know, they were about to crash an open house, just without the cookies.
Came up, pulled on the door, pulled backward a couple times to the door, put his shoulder into the door and opened it. On this 1093.
The 911 call, in a scene fit for a sitcom, Thomas Brannigan, retired cop turned neighborhood watch extraordinaire, spots Isom and Edwards innocently approaching the house. With the fervor of a man who's watched too many crime dramas, he grabs his phone. 911, what's your emergency? He hears. Brannigan, peering through his curtains like a cat on high alert, dramatically reports, "There's a break-in happening right now." The dispatcher, likely puzzled, asks for details. "Two men boldly walking into a house with a key," he exclaims. In his mind, he's already the hero of West Prince Hill, single-handedly foiling a heist. Little does Brannigan know, his criminals are just a realtor and a buyer, probably discussing backsplashes and bathroom tiles. His call turns a mundane home viewing into an action-packed, cop-filled spectacle. Oh, the irony. A retired officer can't recognize a house tour. Maybe he skipped that day at the academy? When the cavalry arrives, led by Officer Rosa Valentino, it's less. Serve and protect. And more. Overreact and perplex. Imagine Valentino, weapon drawn, looking as if she's ready to confront a band of hardened criminals, not a realtor and his client.
Pete, they're right up by your window. I'll order them to come out.
Hey guys, come on out. Come on out, bro.
Knox! Hands
My hands up, what y'all doing?
Tell your friend to come out too. Hands up.
Come on out, man. We got an appointment to see this house. People saw you forcing your way in, that's why we're here. Oh man, I don't know. They just white people calling the police doing that. I ain't even gonna buy the house. He had a good day, but he sees somebody going into a house. I ain't gonna buy the house. I ain't even gonna buy it.
How'd you just get in?
He a realtor.
The scene could pass for an action movie audition, except the danger is about as real as a unicorn in a tutu. Her fellow officers, not to be outdone in this dramatic display, swarm the property. They're probably expecting a scene straight out of a heist movie, but instead, they find Isom and Edwards, likely chatting about closet space. The moment Valentino is told, "He's a realtor," you'd think the story would deflate like a sad balloon. But no, our intrepid officers hold on to their suspicions, like a dog with a bone. A realtor showing a house is apparently more suspicious than a cat at a dog show. Valentino and team, still in high alert mode, seem to think Isom and Edwards are auditioning for a role in Ocean's 14, the suburban heist. You can almost hear their thoughts. "Sure, he's a realtor, and I'm the Queen of England." The officers' continued suspicion is like mistaking a water gun for a real one at a pool party. As they begin their investigation, it becomes increasingly clear that they might have missed a couple of episodes of How to Police 101. It's a real-life game of Clue, except everyone's guessing wrong. In the case of Navarrete v. California, the Supreme Court basically said, "Hey, tips can sometimes be as good as gold for police action." It's like if someone tells you there's a sale at your favorite store. You don't need to see the ad, you just go. This case put a shiny gold star on tips, especially those from reliable sources. But here's where it gets funny. Retired Officer Brannigan's tip was treated like a royal decree, despite being about as accurate as a weather forecast in a sitcom. It's like trusting your know-it-all neighbor who once fixed a leak and now thinks he's a certified plumber. Sure, Brannigan had the badge once, but in this case, his tip was more off-target than a dart thrown blindfolded. The misplaced trust in Brannigan's tip turned a simple house viewing into a scene from a cop comedy show, where the punchline is the law itself. The officers, with their misplaced confidence in Brannigan's insider knowledge, created a situation as absurd as using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. As our dynamic duo of realtor Jerry Isom and Anthony Edwards innocently peruse a house, the plot thickens with the entrance of our uniformed protagonists. With a flair for the dramatic, the officers decide to handcuff Isom and Edwards.
Turn around. Till we can confirm. Turn around. Until we can confirm.
Why? Because in their world, it's guilty until proven innocent. like accusing someone of stealing a cookie just because they're in the kitchen.
Did you use a key? Where's the key at? Where at? Okay, have a seat.
We was white when they did this.
So what are you talking about, man? That's
You got some type of realtor ID on you?
I don't give a
That.
if you're white or black. We're doing our
I
job
didn't
here.
say you wasn't.
It's in your pocket or your car?
But that's bullshit, though.
Okay, you want...
Pull that
Black
out.
guys.
Yeah, turn around.
The officers, perhaps inspired by an overzealous episode of a crime drama, seem to think handcuffs are the new handshake. It's as if they went to a how to be a cop seminar and only remembered the part about the handcuffs. Oh, you're just viewing the house? Sure, but let's do it in style, with handcuffs, they seem to say. The logic here is as flimsy as a cardboard shield. It's like seeing someone with a gym bag and assuming they must have robbed a sportswear store. Isom, a realtor with keys and credentials, and Edwards, a prospective buyer, are suddenly in a cop comedy, playing the unwitting suspects in a crime that never happened. The officers, in a burst of investigative enthusiasm, decide it's time for a search. Officer Valentino, like a kid on a treasure hunt, decides it's pocket-checking time, despite the lack of any pirate-like clues suggesting our realtor and buyer duo were hiding any booty.
Where's the,
Why were you going to jail?
Where's it at?
Break in the door, not going to jail.
Huh?
White called me.
What? Where's your realtor ID?
You got anything sharp on?
No, you can take them and open the jacket up. I got ID in my pocket. Y'all even ask for the ID.
Where's your, do you have, like, ID on you? Which pocket, sir? You've got lots of pockets. Turn around.
Stretch your legs.
This is where the Terry Frisk doctrine casually strolls in, only to find it's been hilariously misunderstood. The Terry Frisk doctrine is like a strict dinner rule. You can only eat what's on the table. In cop terms, it means you can pat down for weapons if you think someone is dangerous. But here are officers, perhaps thinking they're in a spy movie, skip the pat down and put hands straight into their pockets, hoping for, what exactly? A signed confession hidden in a wallet? A Monopoly get-out-of-jail-free card?
Knox, I didn't search, I didn't, pat between his crotch and stuff for weapons, but he's got an ID and he's got, realty cards on. Who'd you arrange this with?
Are you the only two in there?
And you got into the key box?
Yeah. The race card. Okay, that stuff doesn't fly.
We got called and told that you guys forced entry, which is why.
I don't care. Just stop. I don't care. Do you have an ID on him?
Yeah, and he's got realty cards on.
Resolution of the incident. As our comical cop caper winds down, the scene shifts to the grand finale, or rather, the grand anti-finale. Officers, having rummaged through pockets and combed the house, find absolutely nothing. Shocking, right? It's like watching a magician pull out a rabbit, only to find it's just an old hat. Meanwhile, retired Officer Brannigan, the 911 calling catalyst of this whole shebang, is allowed to waltz around the scene. He's like an unofficial director of a play he wrote, watching his drama unfold, while the actual officers seem to forget the basics of securing the scene 101. Finally, our realtor hero Isom and his psychic buyer Edwards are uncuffed, probably wondering if they've accidentally walked onto the set of a police parody. As they're released, you can almost hear the officer's thoughts. Well, that was embarrassing.
Sorry about that, sir. We can only go by what's reported to us, okay? Yeah, I couldn't find it, so...
Isom and Edwards decided to serve up some justice of their own. They filed a lawsuit against the city of Cincinnati and our trio of overzealous officers, Valentino, Knox, and Pete. The charge? Violating their Fourth Amendment rights with a side of excessive handcuffing. Now, get this, the city of Cincinnati, perhaps realizing the folly of their ways, or just wanting to avoid more embarrassing headlines, agreed to cough up a cool $151,000. That's right, our real estate duo turned a wrongful handcuffing into a six-figure payday. Talk about a plot twist. But wait, there's more. The city also promised to roll out implicit bias training for all city employees. It's like the city took one look at this fiasco and said, maybe it's time we teach our cops not to judge a book by its cover, or a realtor by his lockbox key. Hey Larry, wanna say something to our viewers?
Here's a tip. Knowing your rights is key. In situations like this, calmly asserting your legal stance can make all the difference. Don't be shy to ask officers about the probable cause for a search. It's your right. Use it wisely. This case hilariously teaches us that a little knowledge and a lot of restraint go a long way in law enforcement. Sometimes, the real crime is jumping to conclusions.